Last time on RadicalSoda's Sword and Sheild review!
Oh shit, I found it! The Tree of Legends. Did I mention that the wild area is butt ugly?
Stir that curry at the speed of sound!
Even fucking Mystery Dungeon, a fucking side game had all the Pokemon. Come on! There's a stray fucking pixel down there just mocking me for noticing it.
I had soup for lunch today.
I can't even use giraffering. Oh! Here we are in the water gym. Oh gee, these trainers look aggressive. Maybe they're mad because they didn't get a proper background to battle in. Also, have I mentioned yet about how trainers just vanish when their Pokemon use certain moves? It's extremely jarring, and it happens with Dynamax moves too, of course. Not like standing between two giant monsters is a good idea to begin with. This gym's all about switches. The red switches, the red water streams, the yellow alternates the yellow ones, the blue ones, you get it. It's an easy Pokemon puzzle, not difficult in the slightest, but hey, if I wanted puzzles, I'd go play Zelda. I don't doubt my humble mission's difficulty. Listen, girl, you tried, and that's all that matters. Don't try to make it seem tougher than it was, though. Your mind as a Pokemon trainer must be quite refined. Yes, you're right. Nessa has 3 Pokemon, but let's be honest, she's still a total pushover. A Goldeen! Help! Dreadnought! More like Deadnought. I killed it in one hit. I don't get Dynamaxing. I'm assuming in online play it's more in-depth because anyone can use it at any time, but here? Every gym leader, including the champion and extra bosses, will only ever use Dynamax on their last Pokemon, making it really easy to predict. The story mode just kind of forces you to just wait around with the Dynamaxing until the last Pokemon, meaning it just ends up like a normal battle would, as both Pokemon are boosted at the same time. Also, isn't Dreadnought supposed to have a new form when it Dynamaxes? A Gigantamax? Did I not see that somewhere? Does that mean the Pokemon with Gigantamax forms don't automatically turn Gigantamax when they Dynamax? I mean, I'm getting sick of the word max. I'm just gonna let them shake hands for a while. Palms are sweaty. Hey, Oleana, how you doing? Sit on my favorite chair. Gotta be more PG, but also kind of raunchy with these new YouTube rules. Well, Oleana didn't sit on my face, but we're still gonna be smelling fish, because we're off to the seafood restaurant to talk with the chairman. At last, it'll be nice to talk to someone other than Hop or Sonia. Ah, ha, ha, will you bugger off, you cheeky tart? Man, these tables are either very high or these chairs are very low. Did I mention how much the chairman's theme is another jam and a half? Like, dang, and hey, at least Sonia's giving us a TM this time, not a revive. Oh, retaliate. You guys know what that move does? It does increase damage if an ally Pokemon has fainted in the previous turn. Thanks, Sonia! Galamine number 2, what a unique name. Home to Pokemon such as, oh god, not Choodle and Binacle. I've got enough of those, thanks. Here's Beat again, providing a better rival than any of the others in the last. Yeah, you know what, since Pokemon Gold and Silver. Platinum, Black and White were okay, but I like me a good old jerk. Oleana might give me a good old jerk if I'm lucky. Too bad he's still incredibly easy thanks to his small type selection. Really should have been a difficulty selection in this game. Black and White 2 had this feature. Kind of. You had to beat the game in order to unlock the extra difficulties, which made it kind of pointless in itself. I mean, you'd be attached to your team at that point, but on top of that, there was only 1 extra difficulty per game. Hard for Black 2 and easy mode for White 2. Wait, you unlock an easy mode for beating the game? Who in the world is this option for? Who gets through the game and says, wow, that was great and all, but I wish it was easier? I want to point out Thwacky here. Many people have shown their distaste with the design, and what are you all on about? He's the best middle evolution by far. Have you seen Drizzile? Well, I know I'm not getting another Choodle or Binacle, so I suppose they'll just hang around. Was that a Pokeball? That was a bit small. My leg! A Galarian Stunfisk. Oh gee, that's a high-level Stunfisk. Well, normal moves aren't very effective, so I can only guess it's a Steel type. And I do have a Fighting type, so that should be able to do a fair amount of damage. I'll be honest, I was kind of hoping that would happen. And there we have it. Thinky has been added to the party. It was more difficult than the last gym. Anyhow, I really like this new version of Stunfisk. The new animations he gets are really neat. I love how he's based on a bear trap. It's all really fantastic. I'll be taking a look at every new Pokemon later on, so I won't go too in-depth here, but I will say, however, that despite his great design, he doesn't really learn any good Steel-type moves, which is his secondary type. No Iron Head, no Heavy Slam. He can learn Flash Cannon with a TR, which is the new old TMs, meaning they break after 1 use. You can get them from Dynamax raids, but he's got a higher physical attack stat anyway, so that move doesn't really do him any good. I was stuck using Metal Claw for the whole game. After a few trainers, we run into Team Yell doing nothing really worth mentioning. Hop comes on in and we fight him in a double battle. Then they leave. Nothing much to say about the mine other than that, really. We do run into Kaboo, who's coincidentally ran into the same Team Yell members that we fought before, I think. Again, there's only one model for each gender, so it's really hard to tell. After we exit the mines, Hop asks me if I know about Pokejobs. I say yes, expecting to be told about them anyway, but... well, now that's a nice change. Even in my favorite Pokemon game, Black and White, even if you pick the yes option, the majority of the time they'll just tell you anyway. I appreciate them just leaving it alone now. I ran into this pink-looking thing on route whatever that sign says over there. Now that's a cute Pokemon. I caught it and put it on my team. Called her Wheatbix. After that, instead of going instantly to the next gym, I decided to try and find some more Dynamax Pokemon to catch in the places I hadn't been yet in the wild area. What the hell? It was night 2 seconds ago. That's a weird thing about this game. It has a night and day cycle similar to every other Pokemon game since Gen 4, where the time of day matches that of real life. But for certain story segments, it'll just slap you into the middle of the night or beginning of the day so it can set up a story segment, mostly when they want you to rest in an inn for the night. It's not a terrible idea, but it does startle me a bit when it transitions so quickly from night to day when it's done loading into a different area. I suppose while we're here in big Pokemon land, it might be a good time to talk a little more in depth about Dynamaxing, huh? Now, the way you start a Dynamax raid is by finding these holes scattered all around the ground in the wild area. The ones that don't have a beam of light shooting out of them and don't have any Pokemon inside, but it still gives you some watts anyway. Watts are a currency you can spend to buy certain items in the wild area from vendors. The slightly glowing holes give you a small amount, while the beaming holes give you much more, depending on how powerful the beam is. I think. Maybe the beams all give you the same amount. I cannot be bothered checking, to be honest. If you're wondering why, just check how much more time the remainder of this video has to go. Finding these holes is as easy as just looking for that big beam in the sky. Thankfully, they actually have a somewhat decent render distance. The what vendors, on the other hand, pose a much bigger problem. I've spent minutes just looking for a specific Watt vendor that I knew was around a certain area, but because of the game's 10-meter render distance, he wouldn't pop in until I was standing, well, 10 meters away from him. It can get infuriating. Also, just to go off on a wee tangent there, while I was searching around for more Dynamax holes, I ran into a Machoke that hadn't rendered into existence yet when I'd looked over to check if the coast was clear over that bridge there. Now that's annoying in itself, but this happened to be in one of the areas I hadn't caught any Pokemon yet, so now he was my only option. And that's annoying too, because it's not like I can trade him online with anybody, as I'm not paying to fucking trade Pokemon when I've been doing it for free for fucking decades to make him evolve. But to make it even more annoying, I couldn't even catch him! Because apparently, you can't catch Pokemon in the wild area that are above your trainer badge level. What? Why? Just make the Pokemon unusable, like with what happens when you trade over a stronger Pokemon. They fall asleep by themselves and shit. Why stop us from catching it altogether? Anyway, once you've found a hole with a beam coming out of it, the bright swirly ones have rarer Pokemon with great stats, you can initiate a battle. You're allowed to choose your Pokemon and either wait for other players if you have a Nintendo Online subscription, or go ahead by yourself alongside some NPC trainers. Now here's a big 1-star Pigeon. Actually, Pigeon, more like Big-Gin. Sorry. You can battle Pokemon up to 5 stars, the ones with the more stars being the tougher Pokemon, obviously. And while I sent out Chumley, rock typing and all, you know, my NPC fellows threw out a Wobbuffet, a Solrock, and a Maractus. Now these Pokemon aren't very strong, but I took out the P-Duff with a single attack, so that didn't really matter anyway. You'll lose the battle if 4 Pokemon faint, but you can come back to a battle after a turn has passed, meaning you can faint multiple times in a raid. Moves that you can use yourself while Dynamaxed are actually different to that of the wild Pokemon. While they can use 2 or 3 regular moves in a row or a Dynamax move, you can only use Dynamax moves, which replace your regular attacks. Unfortunately, Dynamax moves aren't even as interesting as Z moves. At least with Z moves, status moves generally had different effects when turned into a Z move. Here, they're all just turned into Protect. Seems fucking lazy to me. What else seems lazy is that a bunch of the Z moves don't even animate correctly. Look at Z-Flare here. You remember in the trailer how it came out of Charizard's shoulder? Well, they didn't even bother fixing it. Not only does it come out in the wrong area on a bunch of Pokemon, they didn't even take into account Pokemon which don't even have fire-breathing animations. It comes out of Cinderace's ass! He's farting out a Max Flare! Anyway, as you progress through the Dynamax fights, they start becoming harder and harder until eventually they're putting up shields which require multiple attacks to destroy. Don't think about using moves like Double Kick though, they don't break more than 1. Although they'll still make you sit through each animation of the thing, and each time it'll zoom the camera out and then back in again. Stop, just show it once! And not to mention that because the shields are always put up at certain percentages of the Dynamax Pokemon's health, there will be many, many times where you will land a super effective hit and it will do a millimeter of damage. All because, it's shield time, no damage past this point. But hey, at least the NPCs you fight with send out better Pokemon as the battles get tougher. I mean, just check out this 5-star battle. Oh. I am quite frankly disgusted at this. I have been so frustrated with these battles, because the only one giving a shit is me. I've been in teams with a Togepi, a Magikarp, and a fucking Clefairy, or a Pikachu, or a fucking Solrock that uses cosmic power over and over again, only to get his stats removed the next turn so he starts using it again over and over. I've been in fights where 3 Pokemon have died in a single move. Fights where Pokemon will be the very worst typing for the battle. I've had to carry every single battle with the Dynamax Pokemon because the NPCs haven't been given anything other than pure garbage. And you have to be lucky. You have to be so lucky with this, especially if you enter a fight with something like a Gardevoir and your only teammates are Throw, Howlucha, and fucking Magikarp. You have to be lucky enough that Gardevoir doesn't use Dazzling Gleam, which it will. It fucking will. Say goodbye to catching that shit. I can't even remember if this happened in my first or second playthrough. All I know is that I was really mad. I'm so glad that I didn't count a loss in a Dynamax raid as a death, because if I did, all my Pokemon would be dead. I did count it if my Pokemon specifically fainted though, just to let you know. But back to the bullshit. How hard would it have been to have had made a table of Pokemon able to be sent out by the NPCs based on star rating? The girl who sends out a Magikarp? Anything over than a 2-star, make it a fucking Gyarados. The Throw guy, give him a Marchamp. The Solrock guy, stab him in the throat! You get a 100% chance of catching a Dynamax Pokemon if you manage to beat it. Unless you're not hosting the game, apparently, I wouldn't know. And lastly, you have a small chance to find Gigantamax Pokemon out in the field, but at that point I didn't have any catches really left in the wild area, so I just killed them when I found them. Looking back, part of me wishes I did catch a few of them for later, like the Gigantamax Grimmsnarl I found, but then I realized I'd never be battling online anyway, so who gives a shit? Wait, you can't even use Gigantamax Pokemon in ranked online matches anyway! What a fucking sham! What are these decisions this company is making? And finally, as you know, you can receive items and candies from winning against Dynamax raids, such as things like TRs, rare candies, and XP candies of various sizes. You know, I was out there for like 15 minutes and I didn't even catch anything. I just went to the places I've already been. I did, however, find a fishing hole in Motorstoke, although there was only a Choodle there, so I just killed it. Also, real nice Motorstoke battle area we got here, cheapskate pricks. So we head back to Bidgew Drop In. Oh, I only just got that now. Drop in, as in drop on in, but also like a dew drop. And guess who's waiting for us? Well, thankfully not Sonia. It's actually little Miss Marnie, who sat on her Barney. So we slapped the shit out of her Pokemon. Also, listen to how this guy quit his job so he could watch the gym challenge. That's like someone quitting their job to watch football. Dude, just tape it. And I finally went and invaded a few people's privacy. Then it's off to the next gym. The gym where you progress by catching Pokemon. Nice. Works great for my playthrough. Well, not exactly. I can also knock them out to gain a smaller amount of points, the points being the thing needed to progress, but there's also other NPCs you battle with them trying to knock out the wild Pokemon first, or even hindering your Pokemon so they perform worse. So that's great. Not only do I have to watch out for the enemy Pokemon, but also my teammates? Dang! And most of my Pokemon are weak to fire! It was all up to Chumley to face these Pokemon, and he pulled it off with aplomb. I did try to knock out my teammates' Pokemon at one point, but they had multiple of them, and I couldn't be bothered knocking out Pokemon after Pokemon, so I just kept trying to kill the wild one, and eventually I did it just fine. Soon enough, we were out in the field to face Kaboo. Wait, heck, no. Oh, the glitches are back. Damn it! Oh, now I'm just pissed off even more. This didn't happen with Sonic Unleashed. Why the hell is it happening with Pokemon? And for all things holy, I hope that Ninetales doesn't know Energy Ball. That would just be the shit icing on top of the shit cake. But no, instead, Kaboo decided that my Pokemon weren't looking burnt enough. So instead of focusing on knocking my Pokemon out, he just kept inflicting burns on me with Will-O-Wisp. And for a move with 85% accuracy, I can say with absolute certainty that this move does not have 85% accuracy. Jesus, every time I would heal the burn, it would be right back on the next turn. I probably should have sent out Caracol. Actually, that would have been a really smart move. He's part fire type, so he can't get burnt, but by that point I had already beefed up Chumley with a bunch of X speeds and stuff, so I really didn't want to waste them. Thankfully, Kaboo's final Pokemon was a Gigantamax Centiskorch, so Rock-type Chumley here barely had to glance his way in order for it to explode. And hey, Meowth is evolving! That's well-deserved, I guess. I wonder what Persian looks like in this region. Oh my god. What is that? So the next town, Hammerlocke, is through the Wildlands, but before... Wildlands? Why did I put Wildlands in here? What game is the Wildlands in? Ghost Recon Wildlands? Not what I was thinking, but that's a shitty game too. Hop and I are about to head there together, but before we can, and because we definitely were going to travel there together, because they definitely programmed that in, Beat appears out of nowhere, and I mean that literally. I mean, how did they not see him there unless he teleported in? Actually, hang on, people do that all the time in this game, I forgot. Hop challenges him to a battle and then runs off screen to another area, I guess, 5 seconds after the cutscene, and he's disappeared completely. Even the GBA games showed people with their Pokemon out in the battle. Battle? Did I say that right? Did that sound weird? On the way to Hammerlocke, I ran into another daycare center. I didn't leave any Pokemon here, but in my second playthrough, I did leave a few so they could level up while I completed the story. As for each step you take in the overworld, they gain experience. So imagine my surprise when I got back after beating the champion to see they hadn't leveled up one bit. Yeah, Pokemon daycares no longer give your Pokemon experience. Alright, that's the only real reason I used them, but fine. Take away yet another feature that didn't need to be changed. I did also find this bike racing minigame, well, I say bike race, but it's more of a bike time trial, where you have to hit these checkpoints to gain more time. After the race, they teleport you back to the start, or they don't. Alright, I guess I have to bike back myself. At least give me the option. I found a Yamper in one of the new wild areas with a yellow aura surrounding it, and I was wondering exactly what that meant. I assumed it meant he had the hidden ability or something, but I looked it up and apparently it just means they have better IVs alongside a higher level, or maybe even some egg moves, which you can usually only get from crossbreeding Pokemon with the same moves. Soon enough we make it to the Hammerlocke entrance and the man checks our badges. Bede comes along without Hop, he killed him. Hammerlocke, the city of many sights and sounds. Look at that incredible ancient castle. Such a historical, magnificent building to explore. It has a single room inside. The vast array of shops will keep you busy for hours on end. There are 3. Such a magnificent city deserves its fair share of people, with many littering the streets. Look, you know where I'm going with this. It's like every other town in the game, alright? So far from what I've noticed, these bigger cities, they've just got a larger area, but they really won't have anything to compensate for it, just longer streets and roads. What we learn here in Hammerlocke is that Bede was not only endorsed by the chairman, but is also working for him. Looks like the chairman has a problem which he needs wishing stars and a powerful trainer for. Bede expresses how he was able to beat Hop in a battle, I mean, whoop-de-doo, the guy's got a sheep, and how he's aiming to defeat the champion. The chairman's all like, that's the spirit. Then he talks directly to me, saying something about Dynamaxing or whatever. My Elgato was getting pretty bored, so it skipped over it. But despite the skipping, I'd like you all to witness a miracle that happened in this town. So I went over to the battle cafe, and this dude offers me a battle, yada yada yada. I accept, and I want you all to remember at this point that my Pokemon are at a pretty decent level. All of them are around level 28, not bad, right? Well, this guy's been grinding his ass off because he's got his at 37! I thought I was definitely losing some Pokemon here. Thrustini took a fucking blow and a half, but somehow I got out of it alive, thanks to both of his Pokemon being the Fairy type and me owning 2 Steel types. We find the chairman again inside the Dragon type gym, which we can't access yet because of course it's the last gym. Heavens forbid they put the Dragon gym early on in the game, that would be different. And he gives us... yes, easy to understand. Thanks very much, dickweed. We actually run into Leon here, although he doesn't really do anything. Rather, he just tells us Hop's feeling depressed. Also to go see Raihan, the Dragon-type gym leader, so we go ahead and do just that, finding him at the museum. He then tells us to head up to the top floor to see some tapists. Sonia! She tells us a little bit more about the Darkest Day or whatever. There were 2 heroes, not 1. Oh, I wonder what that's referencing. And she gives us... bitch. Back downstairs we go, and Raihan tells us which route to go next. Is it just me, or is Pokemon getting really fucking linear? I mean, it's always been pretty simple. You can go to each gym in order, although in some games you can come back to them later. But ever since, heck, I guess Gen 5? No, not even Gen 5 was this handholdy. At least it let you explore big open areas and discover things yourself. Even if the map was just a big circle, I guess I really noticed it in Sun and Moon. Like, the routes stopped feeling open and explorative, more like corridors with little nooks to find a potion in or something every now and again. It feels like that here too. You don't get anything like the desert from Black and White, or the open seas from Hoenn, or any puzzles you gotta solve to progress, like how to get strength in Emerald, or where you have to break the rocks in the Whismur Tunnel. I mean, I remember in Pokemon Pearl where I got stuck when I didn't bother listening to where Team Galactic was heading to next. I mean, they were going to a hideout in a town or something, I think. Now, I'm not saying to make the next destination shown in a text box and then never mention it again so the player gets stuck, because in Pearl the region had so many places to go and things to do, it'd take ages to find what you're supposed to be doing. But I feel that even if they did do that here, even if I skipped every text box and didn't read a word of the story, it wouldn't matter. They railroad you down each segment like you're playing Pokemon Snap. A good example of this handholding is back in Motorstoke when we were first checking out the fire gym for the opening ceremony. Once you exit the building, an employee is there waiting for you to tell you to follow him to the inn. Then you walk for like 5 seconds to the left and it puts you in an automatic cutscene to show you exactly where the inn is, which is directly left of the gym anyway. And then when the cutscene ends, it puts you right in front of the doors just to make sure you know exactly where to go. It's insulting. Kids don't need this much direction, let alone me. And speaking of linear, you thought Black and White's route design was linear and boring because it's a huge circle? Well, Sword and Sheild is here to improve. How about 2 smaller circles? What's that I hear, Stammer? The wild area is a wide open place for exploration? It's not. It's really not. It's the equivalent of someone opening up Unity for the first time and making their first map for an RPG. It's bland, it doesn't have anything to find in it other than a few items, it looks hideous, it's a chore to get around, and it doesn't look even remotely like Pokemon. Even in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, your base was a Sharpedo head. I mean, where's the unique landscape here? Where's the classic Pokemon style? It looks so fucking boring. And there's no content here other than the Dynamax raids, and the Gigantamax raids are pointless thanks to the ban in the online battles. Because you sure as hell ain't finding a Gigantamax Pokemon before you get to the in-game. Most of your time here in the wild area is either biking around to the next raid battle or failing them because the NPCs keep throwing out garbage, so yeah. The routes are shallow and linear, and the wild area is empty and lifeless. Reminds me of Final Fantasy XIII, to be honest, where the game was just hallways for a good 15 hours, and then when it finally switched it up, we were treated to a big, empty field. Route 6 is the next stop, where more Team Yell members are hanging around. They're just trying to stop gym challenges from reaching the next town, but they're doing it in a way that lets them stay covert, I guess? They're saying they're helping a Silicobra. Oh! Gross! What is that? Looks like someone took a diarrhea dump and then spunked on it. Who designed this thing? Hop comes along to see what the big hubbub is about, and we get the choice to... Wait, I wouldn't say that. Why doesn't it give me the option to say we'll battle them? Together. Oh, it's because we have to make Hop sadder to progress the character arc they're trying oh so hard to give him. Great. So now not only is my character a blank slate of smiles, now they're also an asshole. So we fight them alone. Wow, really makes me feel like Hop's my rival. However, something good does come out of it. Abomination went and evolved. Also, for some reason, that team yells Lanoon knows baby doll eyes. In what world are those baby doll eyes? Well, anyway, we beat the second Team Yell member, and that's that. Still waiting for them to do something substantial. Even Team Skull took over a town at one point. Or are they just going to keep them as kinda bullies? Heck, Gary or Blue, or whatever you call him, is a bigger jerk than any of these Team Yell members. Apart from in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, then they just made him a fucking pussy. Hop then mentions how Bede trash talked him so hard he became depressed. I mean, Hop, you're fighting gym leaders and winning. I don't think strength is really an issue here. How strong do you think gym leaders even are then? Do you think they're weak? This guy couldn't even get the water badge, and you're concerned because you couldn't beat a guy wearing a pink jacket? That'd be pretty intimidating, actually. He says all this while turned away from the camera, and so I couldn't help but just imagine the default happy face on the other side. But he turns around and runs off. With his mouth open and eyes closed. It looks really sad. Opal, the fairy-type gym leader, then shows up too to give us her trainer card and just walks off slowly. Oh, well, Route 6, was it? Let's start the first battle. Oh my god, she's beautiful. Damn, she's going on both. I guess that's why they call them beauties. Man, how does Game Freak always manage to create such appealing NPC designs? And it's not just pretty women. I mean, generally just nice art and models for the NPC trainers. There's a ton of them, but most of them look really, really good. I'm never disappointed in their designs. Personally, I really enjoyed the Gen 6 way of handling the starter battles. It's just a bit of artwork, but to me it's a lot nicer to look at compared to a 3D model. I do hope one day we get another 2D Pokemon game. I honestly don't think the series suits 3D at all. If the Pokemon series was going to switch to any medium, at least switch to nice illustrations instead of these lifeless models. And look at these amazing artworks from X and Y and Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. There's so much personality and charm in these mere pictures that there just isn't in something like Sun and Moon or Sword and Shield's battle intros. Especially Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. I mean, X and Y's art was great, but these ones show so much character, it's insane. I will say that the gym leaders this time around are pretty strong, both design and character-wise. I've only fought 3 so far in this review at least, but each one has had a distinct personality and design, and much improved over Sun and Moon. However, I don't think any game can top X and Y's forgettableness. I remember, like, the guy with the rocks in his hair, and the electric guy from the anime? That's kinda it. No, honestly. Oh no, hang on, there's the bug girl. Bug girl's there too. Really trying here. What else? There's a grass gardener guy, that's it, he's here too. The fairy girl, there's the fairy girl. I think there was like a psychic lady as well. I'm gonna stop now. It's not like Black and White where I can name each one, but this isn't an X and Y review. Unless you'd like it to be? Now this route has something absolutely insane, a brand new mechanic never seen in Pokemon before. Ladders. I made that seem a bit more exciting than it actually is. I'm sorry, but these ladders do, however, have something incredibly unique. That's right, they have the power to freeze time itself! Of course, this being Game Freak's way of stopping trainers or Pokemon from battling you while you're on a ladder. I think. Just yet another broken mechanic that takes my immersion, throws it in the dunny, and flushes it down, never to be seen again. Man, with all this barren dirt landscape, dead trees, and brown grass, it sure looks like a wasteland here. You know what this place needs? That's right, a motherfucking berry tree! Just shove it in here. Who cares that it's bright green with colorful juicy fruit all over it, making it stick out like a sore thumb? Creating a different kind of berry bush would take extra effort. And here we go from lack of effort to... too much effort? This guy right here. This is the only time you actually fight him. Well, his model, his trainer class? One fight in the entire game. I'm not kidding. I don't understand why, but hey, it's a thing. Is that Diglett? More like Biglet. We have arrived in... I can't remember. I've been using those little pop-ups to check which route or town I'm in, but this one didn't have one when I walked in. Well, I mean, it did. It tried, but the cutscene forced it back into the side of the screen. But hey, that's just another quirk to add to the list, I guess. Oh, and I almost forgot, I didn't actually bother catching a Pokemon on Route 6, or running into one for that matter, which involved a lot of slipping past shit, but there is a lady up here who turns fossils into Pokemon. I'll talk a bit more about that later. However, this did make me realize that there actually isn't a museum in this game, other than that really small one with the tapestries and Hammerlocke. That's a bit disappointing. In most Pokemon games, there's been a museum where you can check out fossils and skeletons and other stuff, like the Deoxys meteorite, just to name one. Well, at least Hop seems to have gotten his head on straight. He's looking a bit more determined this time around instead of downright depressed. Oh well, time to kick his ass. That'll make the player feel good to ruin our friend's day. Weird thing this time is that Hop has a completely different team. He starts out with a Cramorant instead of his beloved Wooloo, which actually has a pretty neat ability of counterattacking with a fish that it sticks in its gullet. That's a Pikachu. Then he sends out... Oh, Hop, no, dude, no. No, that's gross, dude. He's also got a Toxel, which... is a Toxel, not much to say there. And finally his starter, which is odd. I would have thought he'd keep his Wooloo through thick and thin, but he just abandoned it. How dare you, Hop? I tried switching my team members in and out to max out their potential in every matchup. What now? You didn't switch out anything at all. In fact, no one in this game ever switches out any of their Pokemon in battle. I didn't see a single time anyone ever did anything along those lines. It's just like the other recent Pokemon games. They'll only ever switch out if they literally can't hit you with anything. The difficulty is ridiculously easy because of it. Anyway, he runs off and Opal calls him a fucking idiot. Hey, her words, not mine. Before we do the next gym, though, I want to check out the surrounding area and maybe catch a Pokemon or two. Oh, Team Yell. More like Team Roadblock. I swear, the only reason they're even in this game is to stop you from progressing. Hey guys, you're of the same importance as a couple of rocks a few games ago. I also checked out this mural or artwork thingamabob, whatever you want to call it, to the left of the gym. It has this big crack down the bottom, almost like something tried to smash its way into it. Oh well, I'm sure that won't tie into anything later, which I can gripe about. For now, let's get this gym underway. Now this one's a ghost-type gym. The last ghost gym I remember was back in Heart Home City in Platinum, where you had to use a flashlight to get around. I wonder what sort of gimmick this one... Pinball. Spooky pinball? I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm keen. Is he breathing? Oh god, not the woman too. And here we go, we're up against Alistair. Oh, I forgot to mention that Alistair is exclusive to Shield, and Sword you get B in her fighting type gym. And while I've got you here, can I mention that I think the whole sports arena thing they've got going on in this region is actually really cool. The atmosphere here alone makes it the very best stage for gym fights in any of the Pokemon games. It's fantastic. The crowd cheering after a Pokemon faints, and the rise in music when the gym leader's last Pokemon is sent out, it's just great. Up until the crowd starts singing, and not a fan of that, it feels kind of goofy. Anyway, Alistair here Gigantamaxes his Gengar. Holy crap!
Oh, he's like a giant vacuum cleaner!
Jesus, I didn't expect Gengar to get another form, but hey, I guess I can say that to Charizard and Meowth. Unfortunately, despite this, he wasn't much of a challenge. Ever since they removed his Levitate ability, he's been a lot easier to one-shot. Oh, Tristini is evolving. Well, I wonder what he's gonna... Who was responsible for this design? Are you serious? Is this a real Pokemon? I mean, it's not bad. I don't fucking like it. But he goes from a piece of coal with a wheel to a minecart with wheels to this. A Tyranitar wannabe. I thought he would be a coal train. What happened to his wheels? It's like if Magnemite evolved into Magneton and then into this. Now it's time to move on to that spooky forest, I suppose. Sonia, go away! So it looks like something's happening up with the memorial art thingy. Turns out to be B to destroying public property. I mean, dude, I know the art's ugly, but you're going a bit overboard there. Also, the cutscene has Bede's regular theme, and then it switches back to the town's theme once the cutscene finishes, and then you talk to Bede 1 second later and it switches back to his theme, and then just changes it to his battle theme once you start battling. I mean, just do what the other games do and keep his theme playing while the events are going on. And if the player decides to walk away, just have the music fade out and then into the town theme once you get like 10 meters away or something. Works for the fucking weather effects, just do it for the music. Shocking completely obliterates Bede's team with a couple of iron heads, and hey, Pistachio's evolving! Wait, go back. Turns out that Bede believes that there are many, many wishing stars behind this art thingy, so he's bashing it down with the chairman's Copper Raja. Wait, hang on. If that damage was done by the Copper Raja, then why was it there before Bede even got here, for fuck? If anyone out there thinks I'm nitpicking here, this shit happens all the time in this game. Did you know that your mum actually congratulates you on becoming the champion before you become the champion? Yeah, they just stuck our line in before the event actually triggers. Yeah, great stuff there. Yeah, game wasn't rushed at all, yeah. The chairman soon arrives, and despite his willingness later on in the game to put hundreds of thousands of people's lives at risk, he won't allow the art mural to be destroyed. Oh no, that would be too much. He strips Bede of his gym challenger status, stopping him from being able to compete. Well, that sucks. There goes my only rival. Who gives a stinky poo about the smelly old mural? It looks like ass. Also, nice camera angle, Game Freak. Get a good look, why don't you? Then it breaks anyway. Yeah, because screw it, here's more lore. I know, Sonia, I know the fucking dog saved us from the darkest state. Shut the hell up already. Aren't you at all surprised that the wall even fell down? No? Just straight on into analysis mode. A blind baby with no legs could figure this shit out. Why are you acting as if it's some big mystery? Oh god, I just thought about the baby with no legs. Thanks. So here we are in the spooky woods. There's some guy here with a blob of floating milk, I think. It seems that Pokemon don't actually roam the overworld in this area. More so, they stick to the random exclamation point encounters. Here's some more trainers. It's my one true love again. And she's already with a man? Who dares? Rob, it's me. It's me. She's there with me. She's my partner. We're the couple. I just knew he was me when he spoke, because he's right. Railways are amazing because they can carry lots of people and Pokemon at once. Oh shit, well I guess a few Pokemon are out in the overworld. Mogrim. Ugh. Well, he's our first encounter, might as well catch him. Oh gosh, well I'll just switch out real quick, then catch him. Jesus, this guy does a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage. Yeah, this'll get him. Thrustini is tanky as all balls. Thrustini, shave a bit of HP off him with your weakest move.
Next time on RadicalSoda's Sword and Shield review, will Team Yell finally do something noteworthy? Will the seafood restaurant shave a few inches off their table's legs? And will story details appear at the right time instead of before the event actually happens? All this and more in the next episode!